up? What's up? Say hello to my new background. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the importance of the now and how, nostalgia may make us understand what we should have done in the past. And a lot of times when we go back in the past, right, down the memory lane, it's all about it's all about staying in the present moment, right? Like I reminisce a lot lately, right? We're in Scorpio season. Some weeks before, no, so like a week before, we had like 6 planets in water signs that brought a lot of nostalgia, and a lot of melancholy. And we're now retrograde. We're now having like a lot of planets in retrograde. Plus also Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, and I was born with a Mercury in Sagittarius that is also retrograded. So it's kind of like I'm in the it's in its form, like my Mercury. I'm sorry, it's in its form, right? Like it's in how I was born, right? Like it's retrograded and it's in Sagittarius, right? So for me, it's not big of it. It's not that big of a deal. Of course, when it comes down to retrograde, there's a lot of things that you kind of like reflect on and integrate in, right? And I caught myself, yesterday saying like, was the sacrifice really important? Was the sacrifice really necessary, and what do I mean by that, right? I personally have like my Sagittarius in the 12th house, and that's when things end. That's when cycles end. That's when we meet God. That's when we meet the divine. That's when we also tend to isolate. And yes, did I said we close in cycles, right? When the finish line ends. And I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about what went down in my 12th house perfection year, which was around 23 years old, 3 years back, and how much everything that happened in my 23 years old changed everything about me, my life. And how many changes and how many doors opened and closed and everything, right? It was crazy time. But yeah, and I've been thinking like, did the sacrifice really matter? What do I mean by that? I'm the type of person that, as I've said in other videos, like I have my North Node conjuncting my moon in the 8th house. That means that in this life is going to forever put me in uncomfortable positions in order for me to transform, in order for me to dead some things, right? And to be reborn anew time and time again, to go through changes, to go through transformation, to go through evolution, right? Like a snake that sheds skin, right? Like that's so much 8th house. Like the snake is just so 8th house energy, and so like 8th house symbol basically, right? And it's just also the symbol of feminine power. It's crazy that we say, people are snakes and all that, when in reality, as I really recently read on threads, when the snakes walk in water, and generally like they have sacred geometry, which is divine, which is spiritually enlightening. And the shedding of their skin is evolution, is transformation, is this death and rebirth energy, right? And we shouldn't ever say that people are snakes because they change, because the true meaning of life is change. And I love how like the Taurus and Scorpio axis is a lot about like life and death, but it's also a lot about like the meaning of the simple little things, right? And sometimes, in order for us to give meaning to the simple little things, we need to lose those things. At least that's what has happened in my own life. I had to lose everything in order to understand and appreciate everything in my life. And a lot of times we tend to think that we need to appreciate those big celebrations, those big things, and once we get to the goal, but it's always about like the little simple things, such as like today I woke up, I had a great freaking nap, I drank my tea. It was just such a beautiful experience for my stomach, for my body, for me. I just woke up, I saw the view. It had like a cloudy day. I love cloudy days, but I love the sunny days also. Today I pet my cat, or today I just played with my cat, and like I got to see this series that I wanted. I got to draw. I got to like I eating those beautiful breakfast or this beautiful lunch, right? Like life is at those beautiful little things and moments that is like that has meaning, right? And I guess in my my own opinion and from my own point of view, Taurus and Scorpio are always teaching us that what happens when we're not in the now. What happens when we're not in the now? We lose the now. We'll lose it forever because we're not going to be where we are today, right? Because Taurus is like being in your senses, right? Like focusing so much in the now, like soaking everything in. And the Scorpio is like, what happens when you do not pay attention to the now? What happens when you're not so much in your senses? Things end. And it's like, why? Like I didn't let myself soak everything in completely and fully, right? And Scorpio is like also the reminder of like good things do end, right? Good things do end because like Taurus is the lungs, is when we get things in our system, right? Like food, even the best of food, and then Scorpio rules the reproductive system, but also rules from when things get out of our bodies, right? Like the food that we eat, it was beautiful, it was great, it was such a great experience, but it's not going to stay in our bodies forever, right? And that's what Scorpio does, like as in the eighth house, right? It's like it's reminding you to stay in the moment. Is reminding you to soak in everything and the beauty of the now because it's not going to exist ever again the same, right? And there's a reason why I say never again the same, because as I said, we're talking about a house with of transformation and all that, right? And so as I have a lot of energy in the eighth house, my life is always pushing me to evolve, to transform, to change, right? And there were a lot of things that I even wrote in my back then diary and journal that I knew that and especially after my ayahuasca ceremony, I could see clearly. A lot of brain fog that I had, and a lot of mental clarity that I didn't have back then came back. So I knew I had this feeling, this intuition, right? This intuitive feeling that things are going to change, and things need to change. And I wrote that in my journal that there are a lot of changes that need to take place and I'm ready. But was I really ready? No, I wasn't. But did I really wanted to make this change? And did like my intuition and my body, I felt like I needed to do this change? Yes, of course, like 100%. I needed to do that change. It was really important for me. But a lot of times, in order for me to make the change happen, I had to sacrifice a part of me, a version of me that I, like it could no longer exist, because if you want to go to the next level, then you need to live the level you're on. And sometimes that is really difficult to do. So when I say sacrifice a lot, like I had to, like I had to make a funeral of an old me. I had to make a lot of decisions around who I couldn't be anymore and I didn't want to be anymore, right? And that takes a lot of practice. Like takes like everyday practice to reprogram and repattern yourself back. And that takes like a lot of shed of layers that never were yours. And like an onion, you're peeling yourself open all the time. Um just to get to the bottom of it, to the core of it, which is you, right? The real you, the unfiltered you, the you that society could never truly touch, the you that society and family structures, programs, everything can never truly change to a point that you have your power, right? Because like it's really important, because like when we do this, where we realize like the power we had, and the power we did not know we had. And it's all about like understanding that, oh, I gave so much power to the triggers. I give so much power to the traumas. I give so much power to this, so much power to that, to people's opinions and all that. But I'm not their opinions. I am not what people told me I am, and I am not what people think I am. I am me, and that is great. And then you start to realize what the me means, right? But back to the sacrifices. It was tough. It was difficult, because when we're talking about like a total year perfection year, as I said, it's really difficult. You really have to let a lot of things go. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I wish that one thing could like work itself out. I wish we didn't have to do that. Right, but we're talking about like a mutable house. Like you have to leave things behind, whether you like it or not. You have to be adaptive to the changes, and you have to be fluid to the changes. And especially because we're talking about Pisces, because 12th house is Pisces energy, right? It's like flow. You have to learn how to flow in order for you to just do things, right? Like, because this is good. Otherwise it's going to be real difficult. Yesterday I was reminiscing about it. Like, do I really had to make the sacrifice? Do I really had to change? The truth is, I really had to change. But when you go back, sometimes the want and the push that you gave to yourself, sometimes in order to go to the next level, it was needed. But at the same time, it could be done in a different way, right? Like, there's a lot of tower moments and death card moments that I had around like 22, 23, 24, right? And still in 25, because we're talking about the 9th year, which is the end of things, the end of cycles. And yeah, there's a lot of change in the last 4 to 3 years for me, because I'm 26 right now. And but especially around 2023, and it's like I feel like I pushed myself to go to the next level because I know I need it. Sometimes we know we need to change, and sometimes we know the time is taken. Most like Capricorn rising, I always understand when the time is right or when the time isn't, when the time is taken, when the time is rushing you, and when the time is just chill, right? But I was like, some things need to change, and they can no longer be the same. And actually, I delayed a lot of things because I wasn't ready, because I felt like I wasn't ready, right? Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I need to understand some things, right? I had like a lot of problem with living my friendships, my familiar friendships behind, because who was I without them, right? And that took me a lot of delay. That took me like about like 1.5 years to leave some people behind. Finally do that, right? Like I knew like some years before that I needed to do that, and that's the crazy shit. Because I also have like Sun in the 12th in the 11th house, which 11th house is like the future, seeing the future, right? I knew some years before that I had to live them, but the doing, like understanding and doing are two different things, right? Like you can understand that, you can see that, you can, like get the fact that yes, one day this was needs to happen, but it still can be real difficult for you to do that, right? Because like thought to action, like two different ways, two different things. Anyways, and I feel like yes, the sacrifice was necessary, that the transformation was necessary, but also it was, you know, I feel like if I would have done it in a way that was not Russia so much, but to a point of actually appreciating where I am, it would have been better, right? But in, you know, how things played out, it was like there's no time really appreciating the now sometimes, right? I can understand that. um I feel like I would like to appreciate the now, like even back then. I don't know, like a lot of K-pop moments came to my mind, like when I got into K-pop, which was like in the early 19, around like 7th or 8th of November 28, no, 2019. 2019, girl. Yes, it was around 2019, at the end of 2019, around like 7th to 8th of November. And it's like, I don't know, like that's what I was saying yesterday with my sister. Like K-pop changed us forever. There's like this big moment in time, this big like door that happened that will forever be changed, no matter what. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I remember, like, you know, I wish when I go back to like the 19 and 20-year old me, that I start going to K-pop and I was like at the last year of my sound engineering. I wish I could be more present. I wish I wasn't so attached to my goals and my dreams, to the fact that, you know, if I don't do them, then I feel like nothing. I wish I was just soaking in everything. I wish I was in the present more, because that's when it matter, right? Like when I go back to being 19 and 20, it's like soaking everything, take everything with you, even if you're not where you thought you would have been, right? Even if you're not where you think you should be, could be, and even though you're not nowhere near where you want to be, like you're here, and it's a beautiful thing. Like no matter what, no matter if you haven't accomplished your mission or anything, that doesn't mean that you need to stall yourself. The now, the opportunities of the now to be happy, right? But it's like back then I had this mindset that happiness is something that we chase, is something that we are lucky, and if we're lucky enough, maybe it comes to us. And as I grow older and haven't witnessed a lot of bad ish, is like, no, that's not true. You know, we create the happiness in the now. We can choose to be happy in the now, in the simple little things. And the truth is, what I wrote yesterday, you know, as I was journaling, is like, happiness have never come to me in like those big crazy moments that we program, right? Like happiness for me has always been surprising. You know, happiness always surprised me, joy always surprised me. You know, joy and happiness always find a way, find me in the craziest, and I don't know, like surprising moments in my life, you know. It was in the simple little moments, but those simple little moments made everything for me be just so beautiful. And lately, what I'm really doing is learn how to romanticize my life, you know. Because I've been through a lot, like from April till like August was a fucking crazy month again. I say it all the time, but it's true. And now it's a little bit better. Now that I don't have struggles, I still struggle with things. But the thing is that um, sometimes we can look at the struggle and a struggle, or we can look at the struggle and say, how can I be creative? And lately I'm looking at it like, how can I be creative? Because like if I was a god and I was seeing myself I would have liked her, I would have liked me to be more creative, to play with life, to romanticize with life, right? And I was seeing like this video with Kitty Knorr, which I really like and love, and we're friends on TikTok. She's such a sweetheart. That she's like a, you know, she's like a creative, and she's like a coach for creatives and artists, and she made this one video that was really beautiful. And she said that, you know, when I was depressed, I I thought that my dream and my calling and my mission was to be a stand-up comedian. And that's what I did. You know, I started practicing on it, I started writing things. And then, I was going, I was doing, stand-up shows, and then I had like this one, like she said, like America's Talent. I'm not sure, but like she was supposed to go like a big event that was supposed to make her really, really famous. And she was like, the anxiety got the best of me that I just couldn't go. And I just, like I didn't, didn't, I didn't go. And she said, like, wasn't that crazy that when I was depressed, I was looking for that happiness, and I wanted to make other people happy, and I got into that, right? And then she said that the writing that I did on like on the stand-up comedy helped me then to be more creative and just publish my book and do this and do that, right? But it was like a really great and beautiful, important time for her, because she chose to be creative. She chose to go back to the roots of acting. And that's also what I realized. What I was saying to myself, like, there was a lot of money that came around, like 22 to 23 years old of me, that if I was better at my health, I would have done some things differently, and I would have put myself in art so bad. I would have done the same things that I was doing as a kid, which was like acting, dancing, drawing, like all those things, because I really believe that those things are what kept the flame inside of me alive. And I have like a lot of fire placements in my chart, especially my moon, which in the big three, right? But I like that she said that like even in the darkest moments of me, what myself and my soul really wanted was to create, right? Because like stand-up comedy is creative content. You need to be creative with your lines, with how you're going to make other people feel. You write that down, and write the greatest like punchlines and whatever, right? Like you have to be smart, but also you have to be creative, right? And you also sometimes you maybe have to play a specific role in the stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy. And it's those beautiful little moments that that I also believe, that creation is the biggest form of just connecting with the divine, connecting with yourself, connecting with your roots. I really believe that when you are struggling, when you're going through tough things, what you're being called is to create, whether that is me creating content right now, whether that is you can do whatever, right? Like through my whole healing process, I started drawing again. That was really healing for me. And then I started scrapbooking and junk journaling, and that was really important for me. And start dancing again, right? Like, and those things putting me back to my roots, to the inner child, to the child that I was. And a lot of times what we do as a child, the things that we surround ourselves with, the routines and all that, are what really keep us alive when we get older and keep the fire alive in us, right? So if I could go back, because of this reminisce, right, and the melancholia, I wish I could just let myself breathe for a moment. I know I couldn't breathe. I know that I was so much in my survival mode, but I wish, when I go back in time, especially, around like my late teenage years and all that, is like breathe, right? Just stop trying to pressure yourself, stop trying to put yourself in certain positions and in certain, like, I don't know, like boxes. Like, be here on the now. Just because you're now where you want to be doesn't mean you're not going to be one day, right? A lot of times we really need to give time do its thing. And as I started to understand my astrology better, I started to understand that, oh, I'm the type of person that slow process for me is what I really need to do, and that is what I'm going to do. Because I have a lot of fixed signs, and I'm ruled by Capricorn. I'm ruled by Saturn, right? Which is like, take it slow, do it good, right? Do not try to rush it, because when we rush, we make mistakes. Just do it slowly, but do it good, right? And it's like, it doesn't matter if 5 years pass, you're going to master it. Like, you master things when you give time and you practice enough, not just because you want it and you want to do everything so quickly. And it was crazy because I'm also an ADHDer, which really means that I really want to do something and do it now. Like, I want to learn how to sew, and it's like, I want to learn it right now. Like, I want to sew a whole t-shirt right now. Like, which is crazy. You cannot do that. You need to practice on that, right? You need to practice a lot on that, actually. But yeah, that's what I do. And generally, come back to the topic. When I catch myself reminisce, is because I wasn't so much in the moment, but I wanted to go somewhere else because I thought, like, oh, this beautiful romanticized version of me in the future looks so good. And I feel like a lot of people do that, and I used to do that a lot. I'm training myself not to do that anymore, because I can romanticize the future me as long as I want, but I'll never be her if I don't put the work in the now. And if I'll never get to experience and be present and soaking in the now, no, like, no future really matters. Because, like, I see myself now, when I look back, what I would really want for myself is to look more in the now, to soak more in the now, to appreciate more the now. When I look back, that's what I see, and I don't want to do the same thing and regret the now that I am right now, that is going to be a memory in the future, right? I just want to soak in the now and appreciate every single thing in the now. So when I'm in the future, I get to fully express and just soak in the future, right? That's really important. But yeah. So by wrapping up this video, was the sacrifice necessary and important? Yes. I wanted to be where I am today. But I wish I could be more in the present moment instead of just, there's nothing wrong with dreaming a version of you in the future, dreaming a version of you ahead of time. There's nothing wrong, but it's wrong when you cannot find like one simple little thing in the now that you get to enjoy, because it's really important. And it's really bad when it says like a version of you that is outside of the now, right? I get why we do that. I get why I did that, but I wish I could just soak in every experience, because now it's like I reminisce. I'm being nostalgic about the simple little things that back then I guess I couldn't be so much happy about, because there was a lot of things going on. But it's a big reminder. The past is a big reminder that stay in the moment, even if it feels bad, even if it if it feels chaotic, even if it feels like the world is falling apart. Like, stay in the moment, stay in the now, because like one day you're going to reminisce. Like, because like in 22 and 23 years old, a lot of ish was going on, and I was really not okay with my health, with my mental health, with everything. But I found out like creative outlets to do something, and I'm happy for myself that I did that. Like, when I look at my old Instagram account, it's like I have this crazy I had like this crazy creative outlet for me to actually get through this emotions and these feelings and the uncomfortable things that I was going through. And also creative outlets became, the party that we did organize with some girls, and the whole like Sunday meetings we did, that were also other people that wasn't organized in the party, that we were talking about K-pop. What? We were talking about K-pop, and it was like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful moment, and it maybe didn't last that long. Maybe even the friendships with the people, but I cherish them all in my heart, deeply and wholeheartedly, and that is the beauty of it all. That is the beauty of it all. So I wish I could have done that in the past more, right? Instead of just trying to run away from a lot of things. I understand why I want to run away from a lot of things. I have like a whole family drama happening. I have like a lot of things. But yeah, as I get older, one thing that I said to myself is like, cherish the now as much as you can. And I struggle now. Sometimes I do, but you know what? I'm trying to make something out of every day, because we're here for a limited time, and we should supposed to also find joy and happiness in that, not just sadness, not just struggle, not just pain. And that's a good thing. So I don't know, I hope this video helps you in any way, and I'm sending you love whenever you are. Have a good day, night, evening.